Happy New Year, Nerida. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, Leanne. The same to you.
Yes, absolutely. Can you even believe we are a couple of weeks into the new year?
I
Crazy.
know. It'll be March before we know it.
Yeah, it so will. It so will. You're so right. We have got over 350 people registered for this webinar.
That's me.
So that tells me that there are still so many unanswered questions. So it's really important. In fact, people are streaming in so quickly, which is awesome. But I'll just give them another couple of minutes, or I'll just keep my eye on the entrance so that we don't have to repeat the questions over and over again. So for those of you who are tuning in, we're not going to do a presentation today. What we are going to do is answer your questions. We've got a number of questions already, but if you've got any questions for Nerida, please just put them into the Q&A and I will ask them for you.
And I will do my best to answer.
Yes, absolutely. Now, a couple of important things to note. We are recording this webinar. So it will go out to everybody who registered this afternoon. What we are also doing is putting together a Q&A in writing. So all the questions that are being asked will be in writing with the answers. So you'll have both the video and recording and that written Q&A. So that is very useful. All right, Nerida, I'm going to get started.
Okay, here we go.
Okie dokie. I upgraded to a license in 2020. Do I need to do CPD in 2021?
Okay, so now it's really important to know the date that you actually got your license. So if you got your license, and I'm just going to refer to my little cheat sheet here.
Yes.
So if you got your Class 2 license before the 22nd of December 2020, then yes, you do need to do your CPD training.
Okay.
So that 22nd December is the cutoff date really for any new people who've been licensed.
Okay, cool. Is there somewhere that we can check up on our CPD status?
No, not at this point. One of the things about your CPD is that you actually need to keep those records yourself. Now, I know that at REI we are going to actually be setting up a portal, but to this point we haven't. But if you've done CPD with REI, then it's just a phone call to the training department and we can tell you what you've done.
And any training provider has to keep the training records for 30 years, right? So anywhere, you just have to reach out to your training provider and they should be able to provide the information.
Reach out to whomever you did it with.
Yeah, okay. What's my real situation regarding my CPD requirements? I hold a Class 1 license. Some people are saying I need to do 6 hours, some are saying 9 hours, others say my previous 12 CPD points are credited to this year. Are you able to explain in a sensible and understandable manner?
In a sensible and understandable manner.
Please,
okay.
if you don't mind.
Well, let's hope that I'm going to be sensible.
I hope so.
Okay. So I'm going to answer those questions in 3 parts.
Yes.
Okay. So a Class 1 license holder must do 6 hours of CPD training for this 2021 CPD year. They're not required to do the additional 3 hours until we roll over into the next CPD year.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the first part. So all Class 1 license holders need to do 3 hours of compulsory and 3 hours of elective. Now, your elective CPD can be carried over. So if you've done some elective CPD, like a road show, or you've done something about, I don't know, marketing or any of those types of courses that you've done, you can claim those this year. But you must do the compulsory CPD.
Okay.
Did that sound logical?
Yes.
Yes? And did I answer all?
Well, I think you were sensible. Okay, so the 9 hours is next year, right?
After the 23rd of March this year. So you've got to remember that the CPD year goes from the 23rd of March to the 22nd of March each calendar year. So we've got to get our heads around that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once we learn that, it's a bit,
There's
you know.
too many dates to remember, right?
I know.
Yeah.
It's a bit like financial year, isn't it?
No.
You got to get your head around that.
Yeah, you do. Okay, I'm the accounts officer for a real estate business, and I manage the trust accounts for both sales and property management. Am I legally required to complete my full license? I do not technically do any PM or sales work, no contact with landlords, tenants, or purchasers or vendors.
Okay. Now, if you currently hold a certificate of registration and you're doing those jobs, then you really should make a decision on whether or not you want to keep that certificate of registration.
Yep.
Because Fair Trading has said that if you are doing just total administrative work,
Yep.
then you don't require a certificate of registration.
Yep.
Now, of course, under the supervision guidelines, any person who, or the licensee must ensure that any person who holds a certificate of registration is doing those 3 units of competence. So we would suggest in that case that that person relinquish their certificate of registration, and we can provide that form for them now.
Yeah. Okay. So no, the answer is no. You don't need it, but you do need to relinquish your certificate.
Yes.
Okay. I completed my license exam in September 2020. Does this mean I have to further educate with new CPD requirements by March?
What date did you say?
September 2020.
2020, yes. The long and the short of that is if she's had her license issued. Now it depends, you know.
She says the license exams. So she sat for her exam. So I don't know if her license has been issued or not.
So it would depend whether or not that person had actually applied for their license after they completed their course.
Okay.
If they haven't applied for their license, then they wouldn't need to do anything because they would be sitting with their certificate of registration and they would have complied with the 3 units of competence.
Okay, so that I think just answered the next question. I've got my certificate of registration. I've completed the required training to get my license, but I haven't applied yet.
Yes.
So what are the CPD requirements?
Any person who holds their certificate of registration and they've done their certificate for qualification, they can just sit now until the time that they decide to apply for their license.
Okay. I'm currently doing my Cert 4 in real estate practice. What am I required to do?
Well, as long as you've been submitting assessments and you've been getting those assessments marked and you've been deemed competent in those units of competence, then you are fulfilling your CPD requirement. So
it's 3, right? Is it 3 units you've got to do?
3 units. Yep. It's hard to do 3. So you make sure that you get a statement of attainment for those units of competence from the training provider. Yep.
Okay, cool. I'm currently the holder of a Class 2 licence, but I'd like to be a Class 1 before my licence expires on the 1st of March 2021. How do I do that? What do I need to do?
It's probably left it a little bit late now to try and do the grandfathering. What you're going to need to be able to prove is that you've got the qualification that you need to get a license, a Class 1 license, the diploma qualification. You could try to do that application, but I doubt that Fair Trading will actually process it within the time frame. And so they'll only send it back to you and say you need to have the qualification as well as your 2 years experience as a licensed agent. So here I've got one. I previously held a license for many years. It's lapsed and I've just renewed it. Is there any chance of having a Class 1 issued even though I was not a license holder on the 23rd of March 2020? I would doubt that.
I had I've had one of my previous franchisees had a license for 30 years and hers was lapsed and there was nothing that could be done to get it done. But I mean, Lance, if I were you, I would give it a whirl, apply for it and see what happens. But I think it's probably pretty unlikely.
I doubt that Fair Trading will grant that.
Jane Saliba, nice to hear from you, lovely. Hope all's well. How do we know what is elective CPD?
Okay, so elective CPD, Fair Trading does have a list of what constitutes Elective Cpd, and we've also got that in one of our fact sheets, so we can send that out as well with the EDM we send later on. But basically, elective training is any training that relates to working in real estate.
Yeah.
So it's 3 hours of training.
Yeah. And so, Nerida, how does, so I know, for example, Jane's business has got a Kickstart event, as a number of brands do.
Yeah.
How do they actually get those points?
Okay, so no points.
Oh, sorry, hours. Oh.
No points.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so what you would need to do is have proof of your attendance, and you would want to have something from the program that says what content was covered.
Okay.
So,
okay, proof of attendance and what was covered.
Yeah.
And then do they just provide that to you?
Then,
or
no, they just keep that. They don't.
Oh, I see.
You just keep that evidence. So this is why we're trying to instigate a logbook.
Understand. Oh, right.
So when we get a logbook, you can be noting the training that you do, the training provider, and then getting some sort of statement of completion or attendance.
Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand that the cutoff is December 22 for Class 2 licences to do CPD. Is this the same for an assistant agent?
Assistant agent, if you got your, I'm just referring back to my little cheat sheet again.
Yep.
If you got your certificate of registration between the 22nd of June and the 22nd of December, you need to do 1 unit of competence out of the certificate 4 in real estate practice. If you got it after the 22nd of December 2020, you don't need to do anything.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be really good to keep the cheat sheet of the dates.
I think that's a really good idea. We'll send that out to everybody.
Yeah, we'll send it out.
Now, I've just had a message to say I failed to introduce myself and you, which I did. I'm so sorry about that, Gail. I guess I'm so used to doing these things. I figured everybody knew who I was, but clearly not. I'm Leanne Pilkington. I'm the current president of REI NSW, and Nerida Wood is, what's your official title?
My official title as of Monday is Compliance and Training Specialist.
Oh, okay, very nice. Well, congratulations on the new role or new title or whatever that means. Yeah. Okay. All right, sorry about that. Okay, now Nerida said if we got our license before 22 December 2020, then we didn't have to do our CPD this year. But we did our course prior and have only just received our license in 2021.
Okay, so if you've only just received your license, then you don't need to do anything. Okay, it's about your license, not about when you completed your course. So if you've just had your license issued this year, then you don't have to do any CPD.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now I've got someone who wants to retire after their certificate of registration expires in 2024 and wants to know the most cost-effective way to see her out until then. I mean, she can just release her.
Well, it depends on whether or not she's going to be wanting.
Oh, of course, what work she's doing. Yeah.
I'm afraid that there's no discretion from fair trading.
Yeah.
Even if you want to retire in 4 years' time, you must be doing 3 units of competence towards gaining your license, or else you need to leave pretty much now.
Or just get rid of your certificate. Robert, it really depends on what work your wife is doing. If she's doing admin, marketing, accounts, that kind of thing with no contact with consumers, then she doesn't need it. She can just relinquish it.
Yes.
But she will have to do her 3 points. So the most cost-effective way to do those points is probably online, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Does a helper at an open for inspection who is just literally pointing the way up to the unit, do they need to be a certificate holder and register? And
okay, so if you have a look at the guidelines that Fair Trading have put out, they've done it in a number of scenarios, and one of those scenarios is exactly that. just pointing out and taking names, they say in there that you don't need to have a certificate of registration.
Yeah.
So I think, again, Leanne, what we'll do is we'll send the link to that information, and then people will be able to make their choices from there.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I don't think that either you or I can say definitively what fair trading is going to want.
No,
I think
we've tried really, really hard, and we have been able to define it to a degree, but not to the degree we wanted. Yeah. Okay, what's the difference between Class 1 and Class 2 licence?
Okay, well, apart from the actual CPD requirements, you can hold a Class 1 licence and do all of the things that you would do as a Class 2 licence holder. It is only if you want to become the nominated licensee in charge and then be able to do trust account transactions, you know, disperse money from the trust account. That's the only difference between having a Class 1 and a Class 2 licence. So it's about the ability to take on the role of the nominated licensee in charge.
Yeah, so if you are the business owner, you have to have one, pretty much.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So how do you get from Class 1 to Class 2?
Okay, so from Class 1 to Class 2, you need to actually do, oh, excuse me. Nobody ever rings me. There we go. They've stopped now. So the way that you would do it is that you need to have the diploma of property agency management. You need to have 2 years experience as a license holder, and you need to have that logbook signed off by your licensee in charge.
Okay.
Now, if you've got a lot of experience, then there's always recognition of prior learning.
Yep.
We can look at.
Yep.
But what we need to understand is the difference between what the old course used to be and what the new course is the old course, it was just a couple of units tacked on to your licensing course, to the certificate for. Yep. Now it's a totally new course, and it's all about business management.
Yep. Okay. An agent has completed the licence course in Queensland and has a New South Wales certificate of registration. Do the units completed qualify for CPD in New South Wales?
That's a good question.
Yeah, we're getting some curly questions here, Nerida.
I would hazard a guess that the answer would be no at this point in time, because the licensing course required for Queensland is using the old qualification.
The old qualification, yeah.
And whereas New South Wales is using the new qualification.
Do you think that maybe Luke we can double check that, and when we send out the answers, we'll
really
send that out?
Just drop us an email and we'll be
Well, Luke's going to answer all these questions, so we can do that, yeah. If I no longer work in real estate, what's involved in the elective and compulsory training? Can you maintain your license and so forth without
Yes, of course you can. You can keep your license without actually actively working, but it's exactly the same CPD requirements.
Yeah, okay.
So you have to do the 3 hours of compulsory and the 3 hours of elective.
Okay. I'm a Class 2 completing a buyer's license. Will this help with my CPD requirements?
Yes. That's 3 units of competence out of the certificate 4 in real estate practice.
Yeah. Cool. Yep. Can teaching property at university level contribute to CPD points?
Unfortunately, no.
No? Not even the elective ones?
No.
Oh, bugger.
No. Okay. Unfortunately, they've made it that all trainers must actually attend training themselves. So we have to class it as our PD.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have to do it. And here I am, I'm the person who presents it and writes
That's funny.
It's really amusing. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really funny. Okay. Okay, I'm embarrassed to ask, but how do I know if I'm a Class 1 or Class 2? Okay. When I log into my account, it just states I'm a license holder. No, it will actually, in your history, it will tell you which class of license that you hold. So when you go on and look in that's on the fair trading website, right? Website, if you look yourself up and you have a look in the history, it will say which class of license you hold. Okay. And again, I've got a fact sheet about that we can also add to the information that we send. Do any of these REI information webinars count towards our elective CPD hours?
No, because they're not aligned to any learning outcome. All right, so we need to make sure that our elective CPD training has a learning outcome. So if I was...
Webinars we do would have a learning outcome though, wouldn't they? Not all of them, but some.
Not all of them. And again, we haven't really had a test case to see whether or not Fair Trading would accept a webinar, a general webinar, you know, like this type of general question and answer webinar.
Okay.
But if you've got a webinar that has a particular topic, and we can say that in Fair Trading's guidelines, we're meeting legislation and compliance.
So some of our chapters, right, will do a webinar on auction sales or on property management or those sorts of things are, yeah, they're okay. It's probably worth putting a plug in for WIRE about now, the Women in Real Estate Conference, and don't let the name confuse you. It is not just about chicks, so we always have men there as well. It's on March 10, and so you can get your elective CPD at that event, and it fits in just nicely before the deadline of March 22.
And just remembering that whatever you do, you've got to be able to have some sort of proof that you've attended. So, you know, sometimes we can do webinars and things, but we don't have any way of being able to prove that we've actually done it.
Yeah, that's going to require a bit of organisation. And I'm thinking about myself rather than anybody else because I'm the worst. Okie dokie. We have a number of agents that hold a real estate licence. However, they also hold an assistant agent for stock and station. What requirements do they need to meet before March 22? Yeah.
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
That is a good question. And I don't have a good answer for that at this point in time. I think that's something that I'm going to have to
do some research.
Thank
you, Madeline, for that question. Yeah, we'll do some research and come back to you. I upgraded from a certificate of registration to a class 2 in March last year. Is the only way to obtain a class 1 to complete the diploma?
Yes. That's the short answer. It's the only answer. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Can I confirm something? If someone obtained their registration between June and December 2020, they only need to do 1 unit of competency, not the 3 specified on Fair Trading.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
All right. So Fair Trading also has a new piece of information up that talks about that. So that's the information that I've put into this little cheat sheet about, do I need to do CPD training? So
okay, I attended the day conference on reforms last year at DYRSL. How can I track this as part of the CPD training, and where can I sign up for CPD training?
Right. Okay. So if you attended a roadshow with us, then you actually have an account in our learner portal, and you can download your certificate.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That roadshow.
And so any training or roadshows or anything like that that you do through REI, they'll be able to find the links there. That's fantastic. Okay.
Yes. And then how do you do CPD? Go onto our website and find a course that you like and do your enrolment, and then we look after all of those details for you. So at any point in time, you can contact us and get proof of your attendance.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Sorry, excuse me. There's some of these that I'm just answering privately as we go along, just asking, because a lot of the questions are similar themes, so I don't want to keep on answering the same ones if, our business owner has a class 1 license, but if she goes on holidays, can she nominate any of our class 2 agents to act on her behalf?
Unfortunately, no. Somebody will have to have a class 1 license.
So every business really needs to have 2.
They do. You need to have somebody who can take over the reins.
Yeah.
And again, you know, in businesses where we've got somebody who would be likely to step up into that licensee in charge role, they've probably got a lot of experience in working in that agency, and so they should look at recognition of prior learning. Yeah,
but the problem is if they haven't done that already, it's going to be difficult to get it now, isn't it?
No, to get the actual diploma qualification would not, you know, it's no more difficult than any other type of recognition of prior.
Yeah, but there's no grandfathering like there was.
But in actual fact, we've found that people who've got the qualification get through the fair trading system quicker than those people who went through grandfathering.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. To verify, if agents received their licence since March 2020, they are not required to do CPD before March 23, 2021.
No, that's not correct. March is not the date. It's licenses is December and certificates of registration is June. No
Okay.
March there.
Okay. All right, no problem. Let me just say. Okay, we've got a staff member currently completing the old Certificate 4, which needs to be completed by the 1st of August this year. Does this old course count towards the new training requirements for
Okay, so
CPD? Yeah.
Unfortunately, what will happen is that as of the 23rd of March this year, fair trading will no longer accept that qualification for licensing purposes. So if you're doing the old qualification, you need to either apply for your license before the 22nd of March this year, when they will accept it, or else you're going to have to transition to the new qualification.
Okay, so shouldn't the training organisation have already had those conversations?
The training organisation should have already spoken to them about transition.
Okay.
So again, if they've got any queries about that, they can always give customer service a call.
Yeah,
we can help them work out exactly where they sit.
Yeah, okay. I got my Class 2 licence last year and my licence expires next month, 2021. What CPD do I need to complete and when do I need to complete to renew?
Okay, so again, I'm going to stress that licence renewal is not attached to CPD.
Yeah.
All right, so you can renew your licence at any point, but you must do those 6 hours of CPD before March 22 this year. All right, so they need to do their 6 hours of CPD training.
Here's a very good question from John. What is the latest regarding national licensing and what impact will that have on New South Wales licensing requirements? Don't hold your breath, John. I think that's the answer, right?
I think, yeah. I mean,
I wish.
We've been invited to make some comments on that, but I don't believe that anything's going to happen in the next 12
months. Because it took so long, like previously it was going round and round in circles for a really long time and then it all fell apart, right?
Yeah. Yep. And we have to remember that each state has their own regulators and that's, and trying to get some consistency across that. And of course, every state has different real estate legislation.
Yeah, it's a really big job. I mean, I agree it needs to happen. But anyway, we're working on it, John. But yeah, it won't make any difference for this year, that's for sure and certain. Okay, we've got 2 staff members who've had a certificate of registration prior to the 23rd of March 2020. We assume they have transferred to assistant agents. They commenced their licence prior to 23 March 20 and are slowly completing this. What are their CPD obligations while completing the course? Okay,
so if they're currently working towards getting a licence, they're enrolled in a Certificate 4 course, then they need to have completed 3 units of competence. So they need to have a statement of attainment that has at least 3 units of competence on it before 22nd of March this year.
Yeah. Okay. Can a Class 2 agent be employed as a commission-only agent?
Well, the whole commission-only agent requirements all sit under the award. And so if they actually comply with what they call the MIA, then yes, but that's not something that we can make
determine. But the license, but yeah, so they don't have to, because at the moment they have to be licensed. Yeah, anyway, okay. So the answer is yes, that's okay. And thank you, Irene. Irene learns a lot from our webinars. So yes, thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, are the compulsory subjects the same depending on the industry? I'm a property manager in the management rights business, not real estate. Great question.
Okay, so basically what, it will depend upon what class of license that you have. So if you, when you were transitioned across, you may have been transitioned to a strata license, or you may have been transitioned to a real estate license. Okay, so depending upon which license, the compulsory CPD requirements only differ in 1 hour of the learning. So you're basically still doing compulsory CPD and you're doing elective CPD. So it just depends what your license category says.
Okay.
But basically, you need to do 6 hours of CPD training.
Okay. I hold, there's a couple of questions along the same line. So here, I hold a real estate license, a strata manager's license, stock and station license, auctioneer's license. I'm a class 1 license holder. Are there extra CPD hours I have to do? No.
Okay. So it doesn't matter how many categories of license you hold. You only need to do the 3 hours compulsory, the 3 hours elective, and then, of course, if you're a class 1 license, when we roll over to the new CPD year, you'll have to do the 3 hours of business studies.
Okay, Wow, that was, we just got to answer 3 questions in one go then. I love it when I can tick these off.
Good work.
Thank you. I've got a New South Wales licence. I'm in the process of upgrading my qualifications to Cert 4 in Queensland. Can I claim these CPD points?
So you just read that question to me again. They've already.
I have a licence in New South Wales,
right?
But I'm in the process of upgrading my qualification to have a Cert 4 in Queensland as well.
Okay, so they could use that upgrade of the qualification as their elective CPD.
Okay.
But they'd still need to do their compulsory.
Okay. Do I have to wait a certain period of time before I can go from a certificate holder to a class 2 licence holder? I have completed the formal training component.
Okay, so licensing requirements are that you have 12 months experience as a certificate of registration holder to be able to then apply for your license. So if you've done the 12 months, then you can apply for a license. Remembering that they have to have the logbook signed by their licensee in charge. Yeah,
that's really important. Okay. Our certificate of registration staff were enrolled into the Cert 4 in Properties course by the 23rd of March 2020, noting that they are studying under the old licensing requirements. In order to gain their Class 2 licence, are they required to complete this course and apply for their licence by a certain date, as in March 22nd? So they're doing the old course?
They're doing the old course. So again,
when's the cut-off?
We've got this cut-off date for what Fair Trading will accept with the qualification. So yes, they need to apply before the 23rd of March if they've got the old qualification.
We have a staff member that currently holds a certificate of registration. However, she does have some contact with vendors in terms of marketing approvals, sending deposit receipts to buyers, general correspondence. Is this okay, or does she need a licence?
To me, it sounds like it's okay that she doesn't need anything, because really she's not doing...
She's not giving them any advice or any information.
No, she's not introducing property to the public. So I would say she wouldn't need anything in this instance.
Okay. I gained a Class 2 in August 2020. What's the cut-off for completing my CPD?
The cut-off is the 22nd of March 2021. All CPD must be completed by that date.
Okay. Okay, just to confirm, our staff can apply for their Class 2 licence prior to March 22, even though they haven't completed and finalised their study?
No.
No.
We're not saying that at all.
No, they've got to complete it all and apply.
Yes. They must have a transcript with all of the units of competence on it to be able to make application to New South Wales Fair Trading.
Okay. I'm confused. Oh God, I'm confused too.
So
I'm confused. I completed CPD last year and renewed my license in December. Do I have to complete the new training before March, or can I wait until my license isn't due until March 20?
You must do it before the 22nd of March this year.
Yeah.
It's got nothing
to do with, it's got nothing to do with the date of your license renewal.
Yeah.
That does make it really confusing. I completely get it.
Yeah. It's going to take us a little bit of time to get that firmly embedded in our brains.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Further to the question in regards to licensee in charge and the responsibility while they go on holidays or are away, can another license holder or certificate of registration holder disperse trust funds with an authority to do so by the licensee in charge?
Okay, so
it's a bit complicated, isn't it?
It is a little bit complicated. So I need to go back to legislation to answer this question. So Section 22 of the Property and Stock Agents Act, which relates to the supervision guideline. So Section 32, don't know why I said 22, says that the licensee must be able to provide sufficient supervision of the agency. So if they can prove that they're giving sufficient supervision whilst they're not in the office, then yes, as long as that authorisation is in writing and that the licensee is assured that everything is correct and they're happy to do that, then yes, that could happen.
Mm-hmm. So you need to be able to demonstrate it.
Yeah, they need to be able to demonstrate.
Okay.
You know, and that's pretty easy in today's technology. They can do a Zoom meeting, they could do some emails, whatever. Do
all certificate holders need to do CPD before March 2021? It's only just come in, Nerida, I'm sorry.
No. All certificate holders who have their certificate prior to the 22nd of June must do CPD training. They need to do either one unit if they got it between the 22nd of June and the 22nd of December last year, or they must do 3 units of competence if they got it before then. So basically everybody needs to sort of make the decision that if I'm a certificate holder, I have to do units of competence from the licensing course. Yep. If I'm a license holder, I have to do CPD, the 6 hours of CPD training.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you so much for doing this webinar. It's a lot clearer now. How do we get the information sheet mentioned? We'll send an email out to everybody, right? Later on today. Anybody who's registered will get an email from us.
And we also have in our CPD section on the training website, there's also down the bottom there FAQs. So you can actually pick up the FAQ sheets as well. Yep, okay.
Is there a roadshow scheduled for this year and any courses for the elective CPDs for 21-22? There don't appear to be any courses on the website yet.
Okay, so yes, there will be a roadshow, and we will be starting roadshow after the 23rd of March this year.
So that's for the next CPD
that's
year,
for the next
not for
CPD
this year.
Yep. There are courses up on the training website for elective CPD, and you can choose any one of those. And we also have compulsory CPD for this current year. Once we get the new requirements from Fair Trading for the 21-22 compulsory year, we'll then have the course up there as well. Yeah,
okay. Do we need to register our completion of CPD anywhere, or do we just keep records of it ourselves and produce it if audited?
Yes, you just keep the records yourself, and you must be able to produce. Not only do you need to be able to produce, but your licensee in charge also needs to be able to produce those records. So it's a good idea to give your licensee in charge a copy of all of your CPD training that you've done.
Yeah. What's the cost of training?
It varies depending on whether you do online or face-to-face. All of our courses, all the prices are up there on our website, and we're hopefully fairly competitive.
Okay.
I suppose this is where we could talk about our sale that's coming on at the end of this?
Yeah, totally. It's a perfect time because we've got 20% off all training, right?
Yep.
Whether it's live, whether it's online, whether it's CPD, whatever it is, it's all 20% off, which is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. If you've got a casual, mainly doing admin, only 2 days a week, if they have a certificate of registration, do they have to do the new?
Yes. If you've got a certificate of registration and you wish to keep it, you must do 3 units of competence.
But if you don't, they don't need it if they're just doing admin casually, so just relinquish
That's exactly right.
Yep. If I had completed my license training last year and received my statement of attainment in November but haven't applied for my license, what CPD points do I need? Sorry, I know it's yeah.
If you haven't applied for your license, then you can use the studies that you did as part of your CPD training, yep. Your 3 units of competence, but be aware of the course code because we need to apply before the 22nd of March if you've got CPP 40407.
So they need to make sure it's the new course they're doing.
Yep.
Okay. So I attended Roadshow in Ballina in February 2020. Does this count towards the required CPD for this period?
It counts towards elective.
Electives only.
3 hours of elective.
Yep. Okay. Assistant agents can't sign the sales inspection report and exclusive agency agreement. Is that true?
No, that's not quite true. An assistant agent can sign the inspection report, but they cannot sign the agency agreement.
Yep. And also the exchange of contract for sale.
Assistant agents can't be involved in that.
Okay, so who can sign it for them?
They'd have to have a Class 2 license holder to do it.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be a Class 1, it can be a Class 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let me scroll through these. Do you provide the licensee in charge a copy even though you're a sole trader contracting to an agency? Do you have to provide your licensee in charge a copy of your CPD that you've done your CPD? That's a good question, actually.
Well, I believe that would be best practice.
Because the licensee in charge is required to supervise.
Yes.
So the answer is yes, you should. I'll be interested to see how many actually do it. But
see, because if Fair Trading audits an office, they go to the licensee in charge and they say, have all of your employees done their CPD training?
Yeah.
And they need to be able to prove it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
we've just got a folder with everybody's stuff in it. Yeah.
Part of the employment file.
I hold a valuer's license that requires annual CPD attainment. Can I use the relevant studies from my valuer CPD towards my real estate CPD?
You could use for your elective CPD, but not your compulsory.
Yeah. Okay. My wife holds an assistant agent license. Does she only need 1 CPD elective by March 22nd, I should say?
When did she receive her certificate of registration? So, if you've received your certificate of registration before the 22nd of June last year, then you need to do 3 units of competency.
Okay. Our office holds 3 years of all CPD for staff. Is this still required?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, sorry. Our office holds 3 years worth of all CPD for staff, because I think that Fair Trading can come and ask. You
have to maintain the records for 3 years. Yes.
So yes, the answer is yes to that. I'm not currently working in real estate, but I want to keep my Class 2 license in case I go back. If I don't do the CPD points by March, but went back to real estate later in the year, what would happen? My license is valid until December. Okay,
so you would be in breach of the requirements for your holding a license. So it doesn't matter whether you're actively working in the industry or whether you're not. You must do the CPD to keep your license current.
Okay, cool. All right, we're getting there. Hold Hold on, I'm just going back through. Been answered. Yep, that's been answered. Sorry, they were coming through in both.
Yeah, it's.
In both
I know
ways.
how difficult it is managing the questions as they come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's quite small writing, and yes.
That's why I've got my glasses on.
Yeah, exactly right.
I've got a Class 2 licence and completed the roadshow at Castle Hill in March 18th. God, remember that roadshow? It was exactly the same. We had 200 people in the room at the exact same time that the Prime Minister was saying no gatherings of more than 100.
It was,
we dealt with it. Yeah, we dealt with it. Does it count towards my renewal this March?
Sorry?
Does the roadshow count
Yes.
towards the renewal, but only the elective?
Only the elective, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In regards to obtaining the 3 years worth of records for employees, does this include new employees commencing? So do you have to get the records from prior to them starting with you?
No, I don't believe so, because it's whilst they're under your direct
supervision.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that
probably doesn't hurt though.
Yeah, that individual person should have
them.
Cpd. And if I was the employer, if I was employing a new person who said that they were licensed, I'd be asking, have they done their Cpd? Could they prove it?
Yeah.
So I think that that's, again, for the business owner, best practice to get those records.
Yeah, I agree. Can assistant agents sign leases?
Yes, they can.
Yep, very good. Can you explain exactly what an assistant agent can do? I think we've just done. So yes, they can sign leases. No, they can't sign managing agency agreements.
No.
What
but
about
they can
contracts?
do condition reports. They can make application to NCAT. They can do everything else.
Okay, so it's not, they can't obligate the agency into a relationship.
That's right.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, they can't bind. Yeah.
Bind, that's the word.
Yeah, because that agreement is binding to parties to a contract.
If not working in real estate and I don't do the hours, but then go back, can I do a catch-up after March?
Again,
yeah.
Again,
yeah.
If you're keeping your certificate or your license, it doesn't matter whether or not you're working in the industry. You must do it to keep it.
Yeah. Here's a good one. Who pays for the CPD, the individual or the agency?
That is the age-old question, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is negotiation between the agency and the individual person.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you need the licenses, you need that stuff to work.
That is a personal license that you can take anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Is the old training number CPP 40307?
CPP. Yes, it is.
Yes. So that's the old training.
Yeah.
Okay.
The new one is CPP 441. Oh, now, blah, blah, blah. I'll get it in a minute. CPP 4119. Okay. All right, so it ends in 19.
Okay. So just to go back to the assistant agents, they can sign leases, condition reports, etc. Does that include bond forms and other such items?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really agency agreements they can't sign.
Yes. Any documentation is fine except for agency agreements.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, people. I think that we have answered all 80. I want to say 90 actually, 90 questions. Whew, fast and furious. So if I've missed your question, my apologies. So type it in quickly now, and we will get to it. I've got lots of people saying thank you so much and well done. Superstar, you've done
the summary for the end then. Okay. So really what we need to understand is that the CPD year goes from March 23 to March 22 each calendar year. We don't get points anymore. We get hours of training. Points. We must do 3 hours of compulsory, 3 hours of elective for class 2.
Yeah.
And very shortly, after March 23, we need to do 3 hours of elective, 3 hours of compulsory, and then the class 1 license holders will do their extra 3 hours of business.
I'm so happy about that, can I tell you?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I've got together I'm getting together some really nice little courses for
Great.
that.
I'll look forward to hearing more about those.
And of course, all certificate of registration holders must be working towards getting their license.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so just a quick question on the certificate of registration. Can they sign leases, rental agreements, leases, rental increases, notice of term and NCAT applications?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for your ongoing support. You are our real estate dictionary. Well done, Merida. And Q&A is a great idea for these. I agree, John. I think it's a really good format. It means that everyone's getting the answer that they need. Oh, hold on. I've got another one. Here we go. If my license renewal is 31st of January 2021, I need to complete the CPD by 23rd of March 2021. Yes,
you need to complete your CPD by the 22nd of March 2021.
Yes. And an anonymous attendee has just said, amazing ladies, thank you so much. You must feel like you're on repeat. A 5 p.m. wine is well deserved. I think you're absolutely right. Yes, beautiful. Okay, look at us go. 9 minutes shy of the hour. I think we've got everything done. Well done.
To go and have a
yeah, I'm not going to have a wine yet. It's done. Even for me, it's too early. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. It was great. Thanks for all your questions and your appreciation. We're here to help wherever we can. Yeah. And if there are other webinars if there are other issues that you think would be best served by a Q&A with any of the REI team, let us know. Just reach out. We're happy to organise it. It's a really easy thing for us to do these in the days of Zoom. Yep. Okay. Beautiful. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.